Hello, everyone, and a warm welcome to Season 3 of the Customer Service Show. I'm Devanshi Arora, your host for today's episode. This season, we focus on the growing role of Agentic AI and its influence on modern support operations. From enhancing agent efficiency to optimizing workflows, we'll examine how AI is enabling organizations to deliver faster, more intelligent customer service. In this episode, we'll dive into how scaling knowledge management can transform support organizations. We'll explore SearchUnify's advanced capabilities and its agentic suite that empowers teams to centralize, share, and optimize knowledge. To wrap up, we'll share a real customer case study showcasing these practices in action. So, before that, introducing myself, I'm a product evangelist and a principal customer success manager at SearchUnify. Passionate about enhancing user experiences, I drive product adoption and strategy to deliver cutting-edge solutions to our customers. With a focus on customer success, I also help organizations to harness AI-driven technologies for smarter support operations. And on today's episode, we have our two esteemed guests, Patricia and Brian, here with us today, joining me for today's episode. Welcome to the show, Patricia and Brian.
Hi, everyone. My name is Patricia Lughezzani. I spent most of my career building and optimizing customer services organizations to facilitate growth and customer retention. Formerly, I was a group vice president of customer experience at Marketo and the global head of support strategy and operations at Adobe. Currently, my consulting firm, PL Support Solutions, focuses on customer success, community, premium support, and support optimization strategies.
And hello, everybody. My name is Brian Corcoran. I'm the Regional Sales Manager and Global Support Evangelist here at SearchUnify. So similar to Devanshi, I'm working very closely with our clients in terms of trying to make knowledge the key asset of their organization through reuse and the scaling that reuse through a variety of different parameters such as search and agentic AI. I've been practicing methodologies such as knowledge-centered service, KCS, for over 10 years. And a lot of the discussions that we'll be focusing on today from my perspective are similar challenges that we've seen over that last decade in terms of being able to leverage that knowledge in a more intelligent way for end users and support agents. So it's a pleasure to be joining you and look forward to the conversation.
Thank you for the introduction, Patricia and Brian. Welcome to the show. So before we kickstart our discussion on scaling knowledge management, here is what we'll be covering today. We'll be looking at how Agentic AI boosts KCS, some of the pain points that support organizations face today, and how we have knowledge solutions at SearchUnify along with a customer case study. So before we kickstart our discussion, Patricia, can you explain the best practices and core methodology of KCS, or I would say knowledge-centered services, and how AI is actually scaling knowledge management?
Okay, thanks, Devanshi. To kick off this discussion, I really wanted to summarize the best practices for knowledge-centered service, or KCS, as outlined by the Consortium for Services Innovation. The core methodology consists of creating and socializing a program that systematizes and promotes the creation and evolution of content by directly resolving customer issues through self-service access. The solve side of the program wheel outlines capture content, structuring content in a way that's easily searchable, facilitating article reuse, and of course, providing a mechanism to perpetually improve articles through feedback. The evolve side of the wheel highlights the needs for analytics to evolve content health, process workflow, agent and AI performance, as well as providing data for leadership to plan, communicate, and fund the KCS program. The center of the diagram highlights primary business outcomes for KCS. So layering in Agentic AI will boost the content creation, accuracy, relevancy, retrieval, and therefore amplifying business outcomes. We can debate exactly how to classify Agentic AI benefits. It's clear that AI functionality will drive scale at every stage of your KCS process. Looking at the solve side of the wheel, Agentic AI will boost the quantity and quality of knowledge articles, as well as increase agent efficiency by generating case summaries. In traditional article structure, we need to think about formatting, keywords, content types, etc. But because AI generates formatted answers specifically to the question asked, Answers are presented to customers in a clear and efficient manner. Because Agentic AI provides trusted and relevant answers to specific customer queries, content in your knowledge base will be maximized for reuse. And how customers consume the data will provide Agentic AI with input to categorize issues, improving intelligence to improve content reusability. Finally, intelligent analytics clearly identifies actions to continually improve results and weed out obsolete content. So now if we move over to the evolve side of the wheel, AI intelligent analytics provides insightful data with targeted action points to drive content health. While the primary focus of agent assistant tools is really to drive agent efficiency, there are benefits to the knowledge management process, including adding additional cycle time, giving support better access to quality external and internal content, as well as focusing case and content editing ownership to the most qualified expert. Agentic AI functionality also includes tools to review the quality and accuracy of content to highlight and reward top content contributors. Finally, providing leadership with AI intelligence to understand and improve will help the communication process and show effective ROI, as well as providing leadership with insights to evolve the program. As a result of Agentic AI boosts to traditional KCS program, the scale gained can provide additional business outcomes, such as additional cost savings to boost content through efficiency. Improved AI cycle times allow support to focus on complex issues and content curation. The additional bandwidth for support provides an opportunity to shift resources to revenue-generating premium service delivery. And finally, the scale and improved customer experience generated by effective KCS program boosted with Agentic AI can drive customer retention, competitive benefits. Now, Brian, what challenges are you seeing from support centers related specifically to knowledge management?
It's a great question, Patricia. And I think there are a couple key challenges that we're seeing is that, traditionally over the years that I've had the opportunity to work with support practitioners is that a lot of these support organizations, no matter how well intended, they're still very focused on solving the cases that are in front of them. And that kind of results in this culture of case centricity, whereas knowledge is sometimes seen as extra steps, and having to work with organizations that tried to launch knowledge-centered service, KCS, over the years. Sometimes the challenges within adopting KCS is that no matter how well intended, KCS comes across as extra steps. So I think three key challenges have really emerged is that agent knowledge capture is not necessarily the top priority. And in terms of agent productivity, if they're continuing to solve the same known issues over and over again, it is limiting from the type of scale that support organization can achieve. Secondly, the agent metrics don't necessarily support the KM culture, right? And there's always a saying that metrics drive behavior. But again, if we're focusing just on solving cases and we're not focusing on extracting issue resolving knowledge that can be reused by fellow support agents and customers, then we're continuing to put bodies into the support organization to meet the growing demand, as opposed to trying to shift left and enable our customers to be more awesome by using our knowledge to then leverage our products and services in a more efficient way. And I think third, managers do lack the analytics to drive action, but specifically coaching opportunities. So I think the challenge is that knowledge linking, especially if you're just gamifying the system as a support agent, that may even be limiting how you can drive case deflection and achieve operational excellence. And one of the some of the impacts that we're seeing are loss of operational efficiency, high response and turnaround time, and even low self-solve rate and case deflection, which means that we're continuing to put out fires and we're more of a reactive support organization instead of shifting to some of those value-added capabilities that Patricia, you had just highlighted. So, if I look back over the last 10 to 15 years, even going back, to the beginning of my career, support organizations, support leaders would say, hey, we really want to do better with knowledge management. What should we be doing? And the two answers I would give is that you need to clean up your data and you need to invest in your knowledge base. And now with generative AI and where things are headed, these same or similar support leaders are coming back and asking, how do we take advantage of generative AI? And what's surprising, or not surprising to those that are also within the same space, is that my answer is still the same. You have to clean up your case data. You have to be investing in your knowledge base. So Devanshi, I know that these are challenges that we've seen with our own clients in terms of how they're trying to take advantage of knowledge management in a more seamless way. So could you share some ways, in terms of how SearchUnify is helping scale knowledge management and driving more of these achievable business outcomes?
Of course, Ryan. At SearchUnify, knowledge management has actually gone through a very fascinating evolution, I would say. In the early stages, we started with traditional KCS enablers, where the process was largely manual, right? Agents had to create, structure, and update the knowledge articles themselves, and which often meant slower documentation, inconsistencies across the knowledge base because they were doing everything themselves, right? So the next step forward that we saw in this evolution was the rise of LLM-enabled tools like Nobler. So here, large language models started assisting agents by suggesting relevant knowledge based on the case context, pre-populated drafts, and making it much easier to reuse or refine existing content. So this stage, we saw this reduce the efforts for the agents and speed up the knowledge creation process, but it is relatively still relied very heavily on human intervention for accuracy and completeness. Now we've entered the most exciting stage, that is the era of autonomous knowledge agent. So this doesn't just assist, it proactively identifies knowledge gaps and automates the creation, review, and updation of the content. So based on the case creation details, it will identify the opportunity and create the knowledge article itself. It integrates seamlessly into workflows, ensuring that the knowledge base remains accurate, relevant, and of consistently high quality. So, this shift means that support teams can now resolve issues faster, deliver smarter self-service, and not worry about creating knowledge later. And this is a scale that we've now come to, and this scales knowledge management with far less manual overhead. So if I talk about Nobler or the knowledge AI agent, this takes the knowledge management beyond just article creation. It helps generate on-demand knowledge, it prevents duplicates, and classifies information automatically. At the same time, it is also giving powerful insights into article trends, overall content performance, and with built-in review and publishing workflows, there are health checks, there are flexible templates. It actually keeps your knowledge base accurate, consistent, like I've said, and aligned with KCS best practices that Patricia has just talked about in this episode, making life easier for both agents and customers. And if you look at the benefits of these kinds of knowledge management tools, they show the impact at multiple levels. So, for agents, they prevent duplicate content, make knowledge creation easier, make knowledge reuse and review easy, and drastically cut down the time that it is taking for them to publish articles. So this translates into approximately 50 to 60% faster resolutions and up to 60% case deflection when these articles get reused by the other peers. So on the operations side, the productivity and accuracy go up, the agent effort goes down, and the results carry the customer experience, right? The CSAT improves, the effort reduces, customers find the right answers faster because these articles are then finally translating onto the customer knowledge base as well, right? And all of this is adding up to true self-service success and measurable organizational savings. So Brian, with this, since you've also dealt very heavily with our customers, how do you think organizations are taking a step back, before they start seeing this impact with knowledge management and identifying the need of managing knowledge? Like, where is that coming from?
Yeah, I think, when I look back over the years of working with these practitioners, right, even with KCS, like there should be a focus on capturing knowledge that is driving resolution of cases. And why do cases exist? They exist because there's a prohibition or an inhibition using a product or service. That is why we're seeing support demand into our assisted support queue. So the key thing is that if we're looking at knowledge graphs, such as what we're seeing here, where we can see the available articles and the case overlap, if we're having KB articles that we've tried our best to create and curate for reuse, but they don't actually overlay any sort of case driver, then how useful is that knowledge? And I think that's one of the key things, is that we can't be creating knowledge in a vacuum. KCS methodologies, especially solve loop, will ensure that we are focusing on creating knowledge as a byproduct of resolving issues. We also need to make sure that from an evolve loop standpoint, we can really see where those gaps are in terms of our coverage. So in this example, we can see that, the articles versus the case overlap, there's roughly a 33%, overlap. Well, that also means, roughly 67% of our knowledge or our cases do not have suitable knowledge. So no wonder we're going to continue to see these types of cases enter our support queue. So when I think about how to take a step back and identify, the need of managing knowledge, the door swings both ways. We need to make sure that we have intelligent systems that as we are solving cases, we can present to the support agent and let them know that, hey, there's no overlap between the case that you've just solved and the available knowledge base. And because support agents are focused on solving cases, to your point, Devanshi, this is where we're eliminating a lot of the manual grunt work, the scaffolding, the structuring, and just being able to say, look, you've solved this case. Let's extract this and put this into a KB article draft or output. And then the agent can still review that. Or in the autonomous level, there's a higher level of confidence because we're basically scanning these types of connects and disconnects, where the key thing is that we can continue to solve cases, but we just have a knowledge generation and reuse engine that is developed as a byproduct of traditional processes. So if we think about how do we actually see our customers and the impact that has on their organization, there is a case study that we can highlight really quickly. So this is the case study on Nobler and the impact with a company called Cornerstone On Demand. So you may have certainly heard of Cornerstone over the years. They are a global leader in learning and talent experience solutions. And if we look at some of the challenges, I think this is really encompassing what we see with our clients today, is that there's a lack of integration between support and knowledge workflows. And as a byproduct of that, you're seeing inconsistent documentation standards across the organization, especially when there are different support teams or support tiers. And as a result of that, we see that there was a lot of low reuse of existing knowledge assets. If there's low reuse, we have to ask ourselves, is that knowledge helping drive resolutions, or is it just a reference article that might have some overlap? And then, for certain organizations, if their support agents are gaming the system and just attaching random knowledge, like that doesn't help us scale self-service success. So the solution that we put in place was SearchUnify's Nobler application, and that enables Cornerstone support agents to seamlessly create articles natively within their Salesforce Service Cloud CRM, where they don't have to view this as extra steps. They're focused on solving the case. When the case is resolved, Nobler will flag that, hey, this is a legitimate knowledge creation opportunity. Do you want to opt in and actually create that knowledge? And when we do, this is where we're leveraging, AI and a closed large language model for summarization, but there's also PII masking, and we can ensure that it's going into a reusable format that's aligned to Cornerstone's KCS content standard. And I think that's the key thing, is that this helps ensure that there's standardization in terms of the issue resolving knowledge and how it should actually be put into an existing knowledge structure. And because of that, that's helped them maintain a content approach that is compliant and consistent with their built-in KCS best practices. And I think the really cool thing is that, what is the outcome, right? The outcomes are really, paramount. There's multiple success outcomes that we've seen, such as a 76% case deflection rate. So we're saying that for every 4 customers who are coming in to self-service and trying to figure out how to leverage knowledge to solve an issue or learn how to do something better using Cornerstone's available content, 3 of them are successful. And that is a huge, huge success story to tell, because just as Patricia was saying, this is helping take support organizations like Cornerstone from more of a reactive culture to a proactive, culture that can be focused on other revenue generating activities such as premium support delivery, or even looking at, shifting to more of a customer success mindset. As a result of that, you can imagine that with increased case deflection means that there is better knowledge coverage. And so if we know as a customer that if I'm seeing an issue and there's available knowledge that's already at my fingertips, it's going to drive more trust and utilization of these self-service channels instead of the opposite, where customers don't find what they're looking for and they inherently train themselves to actually start reaching out directly by creating cases. So as a result of that, not only are we seeing great success outcomes when it comes to self-service success and case deflection, but fellow agents are able to actually leverage that knowledge a lot faster because the time to publish has drastically dropped. And when time to publish drops and knowledge availability increases, we can see that there is a massive drop in the resolution time for these known issues, which is fantastic. And I think one of the key things is that when we think about KCS, oftentimes, you will have, leaders and laggards when it comes to participating in the KCS program. And we have seen an astronomical increase in buy-in from frontline support agents and engineers in terms of participating in their KCS program and being able to seamlessly contribute knowledge back to the KB. So I think the outcomes really speak for themselves. But at the end of the day, it came down to recognizing what the disconnects were within the workflow, recognizing that those actually are pretty common across the industry, and then taking more of an intelligent way to show agents that we want you still focused on solving cases. Let's eliminate a lot of the manual grunt work from the knowledge capture itself. And I think the takeaway from a best practices standpoint is that this was a collaborative deployment that involved support, the knowledge management team, and the operations team, and that ensured that there's adoption and alignment with these internal knowledge processes. So yes, we're being able to leverage technology to reduce time to value across the board, but it came back to understanding that KCS is a combination of people, process, and technology, and making sure you have proper alignment on that before you begin. So Patricia, that's a high-level overview in terms of the success. So why don't I toss it back to you?
Thank you so much, Brian. I love that case study. It's such a great example of success and how easily it is to be gained. I just wanted to wrap up this session just by highlighting some takeaways for today. The first one is incorporating Agentic AI in traditional KCS program will boost KCS effectiveness. How SearchUnify and AI functionality can drive knowledge management scale. The power of AI intelligent analytics to drive knowledge management results. And as we just heard from Brian, continuing to learn about unique use cases and customer success stories.
Thank you so much, Patricia and Brian. This was a fantastic discussion. I think we've all had some great takeaways. And with that, we're wrapping up this episode. We really appreciate both of you bringing in your experience and insights to our episode 4 of Customer Service Show. If you've got thoughts or questions, or just want to continue this conversation, please drop us a line at customerserviceshow@searchunify.com. Thanks again for being with us, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. And until next time, keep elevating your customer experiences, and we'll see you soon with our next episode.